Hey guys, here I am with another movie review, this time for Super 8. This movie was written and directed by J.J. Abrams and was produced by Steven Spielberg. This is a pretty interesting film that really attempted to mash together a couple different genres like sci-fi, a kid adventure movie, a monster movie, and a coming-of-age story. And it tries to wrap this all together and make it mesh and coherent. And I think for the most part, it really succeeded on that front. The basic overall plot is in the summer of 1979, a group of friends are making a Super 8 zombie movie when they witness a catastrophic train crash. Strange things begin occurring in this rural Ohio town, and the Air Force moves in without really saying why or what's going on. And Joe, the main character, and his friends unravel the mystery of what was on that train and why the Air Force is now looking for it. And they also learn some things about themselves and about growing up and letting go. So I'll start with the good stuff, which there's definitely a lot more good than bad. There are good, believable child actors in this movie. I feel like lately, every time I see a movie with child actors, they either feel like they're not really acting, just reading directly from the script, or they're annoying as hell. And I don't know if they're just written that way, or they just shouldn't be actors. However, the entire cast of child actors in this film I think is great, especially the main characters, Joe and Alice, which are played by Joel Courtney and Ellie Fanning. Who knew Dakota Fanning had a sister? I didn't, but she's also very good. They're just it's a very, very believable cast. It's like those other kind of kid adventure movies, such as like The Goonies or The Sandlot. It feels like kids that you knew in your childhood, and it really just kind of takes you back and gives you a bit of a nostalgia for that. You know, they weren't too annoying, but they were still kids. Joe's story in the movie is central to that. The train crash and the Air Force and the alien is kind of going on in the background. Still important, but Joe's story is central. And I guess this might be a little bit of minor spoilers, but Joe's mom dies at the beginning of the movie in an industrial accident, and it goes fast forwards 4 months later to the summer, and his father is a police officer in the town. His father's really distant, really still angry about his wife's death, and Joe's just he's in the process of growing up and learning about who he really is, and he's not really gotten past his mother's death either. She was very important to him. And the introduction of Alice, which starts off as a very complicated relationship, as you'll see in the film, is what's helping him get past his mother's death. And by the end of the film, it ends, I thought, in a very touching moment. Apparently some people hated it. Seemed cliche and forced. It's about him finally letting go of his mother. And so I really like that his story is central to this because it's really kind of touching. And like I said, it evokes memories of your own childhood and stuff that, we all go through. And and I will also say that this definitely, I didn't live through the 70s, but it looked like it was from the 70s. There was just tons of 70s pop culture references throughout the movie, and that also really added to it, made it feel really authentic, like one of those older kid adventure movies. The CGI effects looked pretty authentic. They weren't particularly overdone, I don't think. So it didn't distract from the film. It definitely keeps you in suspense of what will happen next. The marketing's definitely done a good job of making you wonder what exactly is going on in this. Very similar kind of to Cloverfield, another movie that J.J. Abrams, I believe he just produced. I don't think he directed, from a couple years back. It was like a Blair Witch style shaky cam monster in New York movie. This monster or alien, sorry if that's spoilers, but I think we all knew that going in, definitely gets a little more screen time than the one in Cloverfield did. And so you definitely get to see what it is, by the end. But it's definitely got, it's like every good monster movie, it doesn't show you everything right away, and you're just constantly wondering what is going to go down next. A few nitpick points. There's still some lens flare. Now, some people don't notice this, but like, go back and watch the Star Trek reboot. J.J. Abrams directed that. Lens flare is everywhere. Lights are glaring. It's like distracting. All right. Once somebody pointed that out to me, I couldn't watch it again. It was just really, really distracting and really overdone. There's still some lens flare in this movie. It's definitely toned down, but it's like, at some points it's really distracting, especially when there's kids going down into a cave and there's lens flare. That's like, that doesn't make any sense. There wasn't any bright lights down there. So it's not nearly as bad, but it's still just kind of like, I know J.J. Abrams loves his lens flare, but cut back on it a little bit more. The train crash that is the catalyst in the beginning of the movie, a couple parts of it have been shown in the trailers, I'm pretty sure. It looked really freaking cool. I will say it looked real, I guess. However, it was like a little ridiculous that just a truck caused all this catastrophic damage. I don't know about physics that much, but I feel like a train going that fast would just kind of plowed over the truck and the truck would have disintegrated. However, the train cars are flying in the air. There's explosions everywhere. This is a sequence that goes on for probably about 2 or 3 minutes. And like by the end, you're kind of like in shock or disbelief, like what just happened? It looked cool, but shouldn't all these children be dead? And then the score, the music in the movie, I don't know who did it. I don't want to knock it down too much. It just seemed kind of like only so-so, not really mediocre, but so-so. Didn't really like add a whole lot to the film, and it seemed really generic to me. So that's just kind of me nitpicking again. And then also the creature itself isn't really sympathetic. And by the end of the film, I think you're kind of there's a moment that happens where I think you're kind of supposed to feel like sympathetic with it. But due to its actions, as you'd see in the film, it's not. It's like, that's where there's somewhat of a difficulty in this genre mashup where it's a monster movie, and it's very hard to feel sympathetic for the monster. Overall, Super 8 is definitely a very good film. It's kind of J.J. Abrams' homage to Spielberg's earlier works. There's influenced, and there's winks and nods to everything from Jaws and E.T. to The Goonies and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but it doesn't feel like a retread of these things. He brings his own stuff to the table, so it evokes that nostalgia again and the fond memories of those kinds of films without feeling like a retread or the same thing. This film, I think, deftly really combines heart, thrills, a little bit of scares, and the nostalgic factor. I would really encourage you to go see it. This is definitely not your typical summer blockbuster, and yeah, definitely worth seeing. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.